Today we're gonna look at the highest win rate comp in set 7 with our Shin as the main carry. The comp has been sitting at 25% win rate since release. Compared to the others consistent comps, they are sitting somewhere in between 4 and 17%. The full comp look like this. The core is our Shin and On for 4 Tempests, and from here you can play different variations, but by default it could look like this. You play Heimerdinger and Lulu for the trainer trait, CC and attack speed boost, Silas for 2 bruisers, and adding Zoe and Bard for 3 mages and huge CC abilities, plus increasing the chance of getting 5 and 10 cost units. Your last unit should be Pike, Soraka, Sona or Yasuo. The arguments that we are looking for is tempo arguments. That means arguments that makes us stronger in the early and the mid game, or giving us more gold without losing too much of our health. You don't have to worry about your late game, because if you're getting the full comp, you will be fine no matter what. Things like Ascension, Portable Forge and Ludens is good first arguments. There is strong economy arguments, but they depend on the single game. Our Shin's ability is Lightning Rain, which is this waterfall kind of ability that strikes random enemies, dealing magic damage and draining mana from the targets. The trait is Dragon, who gives our Shin 750 plus health and provides 3 in their marked trait, and then he takes 2 spots on the field. The trait that are marked is Tempest, and combined with On gives us 4 points in that trait. After 8 seconds, every enemy are stunned, takes damage, and give the Tempest units more damage and attack speed. And that combined with Lulu's attack speed buff makes Zodian our core for our Shin. After that, he can use any AP items, but if possible, a Gunblade and an Archangel is very useful. But there is a big difference from this build to others. Normally you start getting the items that you need for your late game carry, but in this case, the hard part is to get to the late game with both good health and economy. That means we have to focus on getting a strong early game before we even consider building items for a late game. And that is why we are looking for items like Static Shift, Sunfire Cape, Warmog or Stoneblade. What item you should choose depends on what units you get, but a Static Shift can be a very good first item. Our tank items should go on Silas in the mid game, and if you get extra items or in the late game, you should put them on. Support items should sit on whoever stand next to our Shin. And as mentioned before we even can get to the very late game, we have to have a strong early game. And that means we need a good front line and back line. A strong early game could look like 2 bruisers and 2 swift shots. If you find yourself getting 1 or 2 2-star units and one of the early game items, you can snowball super hard from the early game. If you win the first 3 rounds, strongly consider going level 5 at stage 2-5 and putting in the strongest unit you have. The best options you have is a Tempest unit, a unit that gives you an extra trait, or a 2-star unit. And at best, you're ending up having a 5 win streak. If you do so, try to have at least 20 gold at the Croc round, and without a win streak, have at least 30 gold. At the next stage, if you still have the win streak, you should consider going level 6 at stage 3-1 to keep the win streak, or else you wait to stage 3-2, go level 6 here, and hard stabilize. Here you want to build off your early game comp that you have, or push it into a mage comp. Let's look at some common situations. The first thing could be that you played this in the early game. 2 Swiftshot units and 2 Guardians or 2 Bruisers. Both is very strong, especially if you have a 2-star. And at level 5 you added in a random unit. Now you're level 6 and have to build off from this. Your first priority is to have the strongest board as possible. And second, to know that you might build into some sort of mage comp, with either 2 frontline units or at best a Silas 2-star. If you get a 2-star Silas, play 3 mages. That could be by keeping the 2 Swiftshot units, having Silas in the front line, adding Heimerdinger, Lulu and Lilia for 3 mages and 2 trainers. Tank items on Silas and AP items on Ezreal. And at best, as many of your units are 2-star. While you're going through stage 3, slowly add in Ryze and Nami for the best comp possible. And start looking for Zodian, and after you find that, both AP items and tank items is very useful. Just prioritize whatever you're lacking most. At stage 4-1, you go level 7 and adding in whoever fits your comp best. On should be your first prior, since he fits the comp well and are also needed for a final comp. Else CC units like Sona or Lee is very good too. Sona also might ending up in your late game comp, but Lee can be used for 2 Tempest until you're finding our Shin. Now you just want to get as much gold as possible without losing too much health. And at stage 4-7 we are getting the Dragon Treasure round, where you want to be close to level 8 and also have above 50 gold. Here you can get the last couple of items that you need, making sure that you have Sojin and AP items for Rise, and adding in some more tank items for your frontline, or else just support items, but don't roll too much, knowing that we still need gold to get to level 9 at some point. At stage 4-8 you want to go level 8 and roll down for some of the units that you need in your late game comp. And after a few rounds you're starting adding in the 5-cost units and taking out Nami and Lilia. And when hitting our Shin, you're taking Rise out. Remember, when you're looking at the 5-cost units, Zoe and Bard is first prioritized, and after that you can choose between Yasuo, Soraka and Pyke. And when it comes to position, the most important thing is to placing our Shin away from assassins or stacking your own units around him. My last tip is on how you can play if you had a good early game with any different comp. Here we're looking at my latest game. I had a strong early game and are now sitting high on gold with a lot of experience since I never rolled for Silas or Rise. I just used every gold above 50 for experience, mainly because I had 2 2-star bruiser units as frontline and some other 2-star units, who also activated a lot of traits. I noticed that they were doing just fine, so there was no reason to waste gold on rolling. If I had some Rise or Silence in my shop, I would have got them and tried to get them to 2-star and had them instead of the 2 bruisers. At level 7, I would add Sona just as I did here. Notice that I took Ludens as first argument and got both Static Shift and Stoneplate for good tempo and trying to get the strongest early game as possible. But at this point, players are start getting stronger and my comp will fall off very hard if I don't change something soon, since I have no hard damage dealers. Going forward, I haven't changed anything, which is the main reason that I'm losing some rounds. Now I'm trying to stabilize by adding in the units for the full comp and getting Rise as the carry till I find our Shin. At the last carousel, I just look for an extra tank item or a unit that fit my comp. I already have Pyke for damage and Soraka, who gives me 2 health every round, but they are not my first prioritize. I go level 9 and rolling down for some 5 cost and our Shin, changing up my comp and ending up at first. The comp could have been even stronger if I had Zoe for good CC and utility, and making me having 3 mages, giving her 2 casts, some more stuns from Heimerdinger, and instant shield on Silas when he casts. Please consider subscribing for more guides on set 7 and at the same time supporting my channel. I hope you learned something and I'll see you in the next guide.